Hello everyone, Not786 here. How's everyone doing? Okay, so finally made the video. Obviously, by the title's name, it's an exposed video for No Man's Sky. Okay, so I was waiting for the actual update to come out for the game to see if any of the promises Sean Murray made before the game was released would be kept. I'm not saying he had to do all of them, but one or two would be nice. But from what I can tell from the update, all it is, it's a bug solution which should have been taken care of anyway before the game was launched. Now there's a lot of people saying the game wasn't actually tested for the PC, so all that happened was PlayStation got their testers to test it for the PlayStation, and that was it, and then it was released for the PC. That's why there are so many bug issues, there are so many frame rate issues with it. So what I'm going to do in this is just breaking down the sections. I'm not going to go over all the promises he's made, because if I did, I'll be here for the extent of the game pretty much. That's how many promises he's made, and that's how many he actually didn't keep. But yeah, I'm going to go through a few which I think are the main ones and which would have really helped immerse the player into the game, but they haven't. So I'm going to go over the few, and I'm going to go over some other things which I think are a bit dodgy and a bit iffy, if you want to say it, or whatever you want to say, a bit corrupted, I'd say. But yeah, everything I say, please take it with a pinch of salt. These are all informations that you can get from the internet or interweb. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put up what he said, or videos of what he said, and then everything else is also going to be in the description, so you can check it out for yourself. But there's also some things which I find very, very interesting. Now, it could be him doing it just because he's the owner, but whatever it is, I'll explain later on. It's to do with how the company was taxed and so forth, and the funding and everything it got. Okay, so this is just a bit of a background regarding Sean Murray and Hello Games, and how it was created and why it was created. So Sean Murray he left his job, a successful job in the industry giant EA, to start his own company where he would scale back the size of the company, so it's a much smaller development team. So essentially improving quality, improving the game, and so forth. So he talks about how he funded it and so forth. And one of the major things he says is he funded this studio by the sale of his house, which was bought while working at EA. So he calls it blood money, like a blood diamond. And he says, oh, you have to get rid of it just to get karma back, and so it doesn't bring bad karma. Now, I think this is very, very important, but I'll go back to this once I show you guys the other evidence. So following on from that, this is another snippet from the same article on Games Radar, how basically this now is talking about funding. So how everyone thinks No Man's Sky was actually created for the PC, then ported for PlayStation. From this you can see it was actually the other way around. Now what they did is smart in one hand and a bit contradicting on the other hand. They say they wanted to make the game for the PC from the very beginning, but clearly this statement shows it wasn't aimed at the PC, it was aimed at the highest bidder basically. So this one, he sent an email to the creative strategic content director at PlayStation, where he showed the video, and obviously from there, it's a bit cliche, but it's history. That's where he got the major funding from. Now, if he really, really meant it for the PC and not the other way around, which is obviously the highest bidder, he would have either done a Indiegogo Fund Me project or another like Fund Me project if he really believed in it. And second of all, why not go to Microsoft? I know a lot of people hate Microsoft, and I get that, but they're moving towards games that can be played on the Xbox as well as the PC, share a co-server so PC players can verse Xbox players and so forth. So why wouldn't you go to Xbox if that was really the case? And second of all, again, I get the point that everyone hates Microsoft, or most people hate Microsoft and don't like Xbox and so forth, but they potentially have a much bigger or the size comparison of servers, because they were the first ones to introduce and implement online gaming properly. And thanks to Xbox Live, we have PlayStation Network, Nintendo's Network and so forth, but Xbox Live, even though you have to pay for it, is probably the best one out there on console terms. So they could have easily went to Microsoft, got their servers and done everything they wanted. But again, I say this again, I think this game was made, and the concept was made for the highest bidder, not for a PC game or not for a console game. It was actually made for the highest bidder, and Sony clearly was the highest bidder, so they made the game first for Sony and just screwed over PC users basically. So much so that they didn't even test out the game for the PC.
See.
No.
Can you land on a comet?
Yeah, at the moment you can land on Asteroids.
So as from the video you probably guessed, the first one from my video is, can you land on a comet or asteroid? And he didn't go no, he didn't say maybe, he goes, at the moment you can. I haven't seen any videos of anyone landing on comets or asteroids. I've tried it and was unsuccessful. So him saying you can before the game, this is before the game was actually released, so he knew you couldn't, but he chose to say you can. So why the lies? I don't get why he had to lie about that, but again, this is an exposed video and we'll go into more of his lies.
Significance. Maybe you take out a space station or a fleet or, you know, something like that.
Okay, so the next one he's talking about is how you can take out space station, fleets and so forth. So when I played the game, you could not do any of that. I think I spent like 10 minutes, I'm not even lying, physically 10 literal minutes attacking a space station. The only thing that happened was spacecrafts came out to attack me or to defend the space station, and exactly the same thing happened to the spaceships, but there was a slight change. I could take out the guns and the turrets on the spaceships, but the actual spaceships, I could not take them out at all. So they were still there, they were static, and the only thing that happened was they sent out little ships again to protect themselves, and that was it.
System. Probably no one's ever been here before. I could do a scan.
Okay, so he's showing another feature of the game, which apparently looks like it's completely in the game. And this one would actually be a really useful feature within the game, because you can go to a system and scan the planet and see if there's any resources or anything interesting on the planet that you might need or that you might want. Because if you're running low on fuel for your ship, why would you go to a planet with something that has nothing for you? So it's just a wasted journey. And it's not like you have to explore every single planet. He's made that clear. He goes, you can explore, you can move on and so forth. So again, he shows a thing that apparently is in the game, but as soon as launch date comes out, nope, nothing in the game.
Gets with that particular race. And different races have different attributes. So some are scientific, some are kind of combative,
Right.
And depending on how I'm playing, I might want to kind of make an allegiance with one or other, you know. So for instance, I might be a trader, and so I'll favor a trading race, get tech from them, that kind of thing.
Okay, so this one would be another awesome thing within the game, and he makes it seem as though it's already in the game, where you can trade, where you can do this, where you can make alliances, but it's not in the game at all. So when I was playing, you barely saw any NPCs. If you did, they were on planets, they were in like those little huts or pods, whatever you want to call them, and they did not, well, they offered an alliance, but to what you really weren't sure of. And other ones in space station, the only thing in the space station was a goddamn bartender for no apparent reason, because the space station was completely empty all the time. But anyways, getting back to the interactions, yeah, you answered a few questions, you made alliances, but it was all the same race. It wasn't anything different. They didn't ask anything different of you. It didn't, at that time when I was playing, it didn't make a massive impact. But again, the update that's been released, it's not a major update. It's an update to fix FPS issues and so forth. So again, he made it seem like it was already in the game when clearly it wasn't. So yeah, what can you say?
It's full of choices. Like here, we're at the boundary between two warring factions. I could join in, I could take sides.
Okay, so the last three in this section I've kind of merged together. They didn't need to be in a separate kind of each video because they're pretty similar. But again, all three of these features would have made the game absolutely brilliant, absolutely awesome, because it would have immersed the gamer within the universe. It would have made it more exciting, would have made it a lot more fun, and within all these videos, it showed them, it felt like everything had been done, so you could do this from day one, but it wasn't. Okay, for the first video, the large scale joinable space battles between fractions. Yeah, not when I was playing. The only large scale battle I was in was two battleships who were completely static, and the only thing that happened was when I attacked them, they released two like interceptor ships, and that was it. The next one, NPCs ships launching from the ground. Now this is somewhat true, but again not fully true. So they do launch from the ground, but it's only in designated areas. So when you see those little huts or cabins with those launch pads, you'll sometimes see a ship land there and sometimes see a ship launch from there. Now again, if this is a exploring universe, stay alive, mine resources to stay alive kind of thing, why aren't other aliens doing the same thing? So they land and they take off. No one comes out the ship, no one goes in the ship, nothing at all. You can't, well, I couldn't interact because by the time I got there they'd taken off. But I'm sure you can buy the ship, but that's the only form of interaction you'll have. Now the other one is in atmosphere fighters and without battling and so forth. Again, somewhat true but not fully true. So in the video it shows you planes or ships flying across, battling within the atmosphere, chasing each other. In the actual game, nada. The only thing that happens is you see on occasions two ships fly past you, above you. You can't shoot them down, you can't shoot them, you can't interact with them, and you can't give chase to them in your ship. Yeah, that's all it is. Nothing more than that.
Thing looks totally different. That's the night has turned to day,
yeah.
Rather.
Well, and day has turned to night because the planet has actually rotated on its axis, right? That's the thing that's really unique about this game. We don't have just some like matte painting that we're switching out in the background.
Right.
This is a kind of a real simulation of a planet, right? So like a lot of sandbox games, you'll see that I'm like gathering resources from the planet. Different planets have different resources. So for instance, these crystals have plutonium, and we use, I guess, our own periodic table. It's a mixture of the real world periodic table and also some, you know, kind of made up sci-fi
Okay, like
No Man's Sky.
Unobtainium?
Right, exactly like Unobtainium, right? But maybe not quite that far, right? Maybe with slightly better names. So a big part of the game is gathering resources, combining them to create products or to build technologies, right? And I'll show you that in a sec.
Awesome.
So another thing, as well as exploring, a big part of what you're trying to do is survive, right? And so like you
Getting
saw
a little
that,
nippy out there.
yeah. So it's an extremely cold planet, and you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner that I'm slowly freezing, right? And I had some protection in my suit, but now that that's worn down, I am starting to take damage, and I need to get in out of the cold. So I need to seek cover in some way. I decided to jump in here into my inventory, and I can have an inventory for my suit, my weapon, and my ship.
Okay.
I'm going to install some tech, right? And that's tech that I've explored and found on another planet.
Oh, I like the sound of land disruptor.
Right. So I've got some silicon and some sulfur, so I can build this, and then I can now modify the world around me a little bit.
Nice.
And so
a
I
cave.
found a little cave, yeah. And that wasn't just luck. There is caves, like huge cave networks, pretty much everywhere on this planet. And they go on like for kilometers, right?
And it's way warmer in here.
Right, exactly. So I can stay in here and it's a little bit safer. I can kind of warm up.
Yeah.
And now that I've got this tech, I can actually, you know, create my own shelter. I can find resources that might not have been possible otherwise, or that no one else has found.
So the last one is a very longish video compared to the rest, but I think it had to be done mainly because most of what he said in there is not true. First of all, the planets are not on the axes, so they do not rotate. They just have a night and day scale rotation, as in it's worked out by the internal clock or something, but the planets themselves do not rotate. Why? Because the sun is a skybox. So I spent a good 10 minutes trying to fly into the sun, but I could not. So I done a bit of background research, and I found out the suns are actually skyboxes, so you can never reach them, so they're never there. So him saying all these planets, all these stars are generated is a lie, because they're not there in the first place, especially the suns, or the stars shall I say. Second thing, how he goes about, yeah, you can make your own kind of shelter, like a cave sort of thing. That's fine. So why can't you make a shelter? If you're picking up material like aluminium and copper and so forth, iron, so why can't you make your own like shelter, as in a proper shelter like a hut or something? But you can't do that. The only thing you can do is like dig a grave, pretty much, to underground cave. Again, these caves are not different at all, as into any items or any resources you might find on the surface of the planet. So there is no need to explore them, because there's nothing different in them. There's nothing special in them at all. Yeah, so that's that. Again, going back to the planet systems. Now these planets, they don't have any kind of rotation around which they rotate around in an axis. They don't rotate around the sun, and the moons and other planets don't rotate around. Like for example, the moon doesn't rotate around its planet, it's just static, and other planets are pretty much lined up, like surrounding each other. They're not going around the sun, they're not in a like a circular motion around the sun, they're just grouped together. So again, that's not really how space works. And again, that doesn't show me they put that in a line of coding. Surely it can't be that hard. Put that in a line of coding. X planet must go around this sun, or go around suns and so forth. But obviously if the sun is just painted on, you can't do that, and it kind of breaks the system, which clearly if you play the game you've noticed all the planets are cluttered together and there is no getting to the sun. Now going back to what I displayed in the beginning and what was said in the article in the beginning, about blood diamond, blood money and so forth. Now, Sean Murray, he goes, oh, I had to sell my house and so forth to start this business. So I've done a bit of background research with HMRC, which is the UK's tax. So every company is registered. You can go have a look at the tax, how much they paid, how much they've done, how much they've taken and so forth. Now, a few interesting things I found from there. He put in about £30,000 for the company. Now, if you sell your house or remortgage your house in London or Guildford, wherever he's from, within the London area, no way you're going to remortgage your house for 30,000, and no way you're going to sell a house for 30,000. Houses over here, if you're lucky, you'll find one for 150,000. That is if you're very, very lucky, like if all the planets align, if a shooting star goes across, if you see a double rainbow. If you see all those things, you might possibly find a house for £100,000. So for him to say, oh, he had to sell his house and start the company, that's a bit of BS, because he put in about 30,000 or so, 30 to 40,000, and that I'm guessing that was money saved up or possibly a loan. But no way did he sell his house. Second of all, the funding from PlayStation, he got about 1.5 million. Now, with that money, you would expect he would go improve the game, maybe hire more people to work on the game, because he knows, at this point, he knows he's running late. But nope, he does not do that. He doesn't even hire testers to do the basic stuff. Instead, in 2014, 2014, he paid himself, I believe, £61,000. So, him saying he doesn't want to be like EA, but his actions are completely different, because he's doing everything EA would do, because he's going after the money. He's not going after what would potentially make the game better. He's just going after who the hell will pay me more. It's like Sony came up to him and said, here's 1.5 million, and Sean Murray was like, thank you, Sony. Where would you like me to bend over? What would you like me to do? And that shows, because he would not even hire testers to test a PC version, let alone anything else. And second of all, what is really, really dodgy is he put his wife as a secretary. Now, I know most of you guys will say, but it's his company, so he can put whoever he likes. Yep, I admit that. He can do whatever he likes with his company. But why I say this is dodgy, because this is what most of the MPs, I don't know how it's around the world, but most of the MPs over here do this. Now, what they do is either their siblings, their wife, or whoever, a family member, they give them a role within the company that might possibly 9 times out of 10 does not exist. Example, secretary. So now they decide what they pay that person, their relative, their wife, their spouse. So it could be any number they can pay them. So what happens then is, because they're paying them, technically a company's paying them, they can claim back tax or claim back VAT and get some of the money back. So I think this is what he's done to his wife. He's put her as a secretary. Now he's gonna pay her, I don't know what, because it hasn't said yet, but he's gonna pay her something, and then he's gonna claim back the tax and so forth. So then what happens is, not only does he get paid 61,000, not only does his wife get paid an X amount, but they claim back on the wife's earnings. So yeah, so again, to the people that say, oh, it's his company, he could do whatever he like, fair enough, but then why didn't he hire his wife from the very beginning? It's not like he had to pay her to hire someone. You don't have to pay them, and that way he doesn't have to pay any tax, he doesn't have to pay any VAT, he doesn't have to pay any pensions if she's not getting paid, if she's just there for future sakes, for example. But back to EA thing, I think he used the EA as blood money or blood diamond, and you have to sell it to get rid of the back armor, as a sympathy vote from gamers. So he knows most gamers absolutely hate EA. There's no doubt about that. Everyone hates EA pretty much. So him saying, oh, it's blood money, no, it's not true, because first of all, that money helped you start your own business. Second of all, you weren't born yesterday. You knew exactly what you were doing when you accepted that job at EA or started working at EA. So you saying after God knows 10 years or so forth, oh, that was blood money, that's just rubbish, absolute rubbish. You knew exactly what you're doing, and you showed what you're doing is nothing new. You just took the EA concept and make it work for you. So you went to the person with the highest bidder, took their money, paid yourself a massive wage for a brand new indie company that hasn't even released their game yet that everyone's talking about, put out all these promises, kept not a single promise, and most people say, oh, it's hyped up. Yeah, it's hyped up, but he did nothing to stop the hype. He absolutely nothing. All the videos I've shown you, there were recent interviews and so forth. He did not say, okay guys, this part of the game is not quite ready, but this is what we're aiming for. Instead he goes, yeah, this is what you can do in this game, this is how this game will work, this is what it will do. But nope, as soon as it's released, nothing at all. Now my final point is back to EA thing. I'm a game designer myself. I will one day love to have my own company, and if that means working for EA or working for whatever, I'm not going to go backstab them. I've worked for companies that I haven't enjoyed, but at the end of the day, they've given me amazing experience and amazing knowledge. So for him, Sean Murray, to be, oh, EA's this and that, is completely rubbish, especially when he's doing exactly the same things that EA is doing. But yeah guys, there's so much more I could say, but I didn't want to really drag this on. So one thing I'm going to say, if you enjoy this game and you actually enjoy it, fine, I'm happy for you, but you guys should not be saying, oh, this game's awesome, this is that, when he's lied so much. And not only that, he's now said, well, before he said DLCs will be free for this game, now he's wants to charge for DLCs. What does that remind you of? EA, maybe? Yeah. So this guy needs to take responsibility. He's put out a game that's not complete, that's nowhere near complete. He's did it for the money, and that's all he's done it for, is the money. And he should take responsibility for that. But when reviewers are saying, oh, this game's awesome, don't worry, the updates will come, no, because you're telling your buyers to buy a £60 game that's not, or $60 game that's not even released. But anyway, back to the point, guys. If you do want to try this game out yourself, buy it from Steam. In all honesty, you have 2 hours hassle-free return. Now within those 2 hours, you will know enough about that game to make up your mind if you enjoy it or not. So time yourself. I know this sounds ridiculous, but time yourself. After, let's say, 1 hour 15 minutes, make up your mind if you want to keep this game or not, if you enjoy it or not, because that time is more than enough to experience the game and see if it is something that you will like. But anyway guys, everything I've said I'll put down in the description box, and the tax thing you can find yourself on the HMRC. Just type in Google HMRC and then company name, Good Game Studios, sorry, Hello Games, completely different studio there, but yeah, let's just ignore that. Yeah, so just take everything with a pinch of salt. This is what I think has happened. But anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I've been playing, on a side note, I've been playing Overwatch a lot recently, and I'm really enjoying it. Been playing with another person, Odem Games, YouTube I've linked before as well. So at the moment I'm really enjoying it. It is somewhat unbalanced, and there's not many people that talk within the game, so it's not much of a team game. But when you do have people talking, and when you do have a balanced team within the game, it is an absolute brilliant experience. So yeah, if you don't like No Man's Sky, I say, and you don't have Overwatch, invest in Overwatch. Overwatch is a fun experience. It's not the best, it's got its faults and so forth, but it is a really fun experience. But again guys, thanks for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye!